Hey guys, thanks for stopping by today. Today I want to work with an amazing herb that I've started growing last year, and that's called comfrey. Comfrey has so many amazing benefits and healing properties. It actually, the leaves and the stems of the leaves work together, and it is a cell regenerative. So it actually works to regenerate your cells when you've been injured. To get started, we are going to make a salve with it. To do that, we are going to take a pint-sized mason jar, and we are going to fill it with dried comfrey. This is comfrey from my herb garden that I've started last year, and I just went ahead and harvested the leaves and dried them, and I just I dried them whole, and then I crushed them as I was putting them into the jar. So we're going to take about half the jar of the dried herbs, filling the jar about halfway. There we go. That's pretty good. And then I have 1 cup of an organic olive oil. We're going to pour that right on top of the herbs, and we're going to make an oil infusion for our salve. Okay. And then we'll go ahead and put the lid on it. Oh, let me give it a little stir. Just to push that down, and it'll help it as it's brewing here, or steeping. So, to get all of the properties of the comfrey into your oil, you are going to either put all of the ingredients in a crock pot, and then you'll strain that all out later. But you can also use the jar and a little crock pot. Here's one that I've already done for you. This has been sitting in the crock pot for about 4 hours. So this helps keep your crock pot cleaned out, and you could also, if you use a big crock pot, have multiple infusions going at the same time if you want some different oils. So I went ahead and I have just a washcloth here, an extra one that I don't really mind if it gets stained or anything. And I put this right into the bottom of the crock pot. That's going to help give some protection for the bottom of your jar. Alright, and I filled it with about 1 inch of water, and I just set it right in there and put a lid on it. Just like that, and you let that sit in the crock pot on low for 3 to 5 hours. Then, after it's all done, then you have this really dark oil. I don't know if you can get a good view of that. Okay, so we have our infused oil, and now to make the salve, we are going to have just a regular saucepan. Okay, so for the salve, we're going to take our infused oil that we just freshly got out of the crock pot, open this up, alright, and we're going to strain this. I have a strainer that fits right into the pot, alright, and we are going to use a towel, or you can use a cheesecloth, just something that's clean, and we're going to squeeze the herbs out with that. Okay, so we're just going to pour this right in. It's very green. Very, very green. There, we get all the herbs out that we can. Here's a spoon. Just get them all out. We're going to squeeze all the oil out that we can from the plant. And you can see as I squeeze how much more oil is just going to keep coming out. There we go. Set that aside, and we'll take the strainer out. Okay, so now we have our 1 cup of infused olive oil. Put that there. And to this, we are going to add 1 ounce of beeswax. Here we go. I've measured that. You can use pellets. This came from a whole piece of beeswax. All right, and now I'm going to put this on the stove, just warm enough to melt the wax. And while this is melting, I'm going to show you how to make a poultice from comfrey, or a soak that you can use for broken bones or sprains or things like that. Okay, we have the salve on the stove with the beeswax melting down, and while we're waiting for that to melt, we are going to make a soak that you can use if you've smashed your finger. Our daughter actually smashed her finger last summer really badly in the door, and I was able to make this soak for her, and she used it every day for about 5 days. And she did have a pretty nasty bruise that grew out from her fingernail, but her fingernail never fell off, and it helped just amazingly. She healed so quickly. So we are going to take the herbs. I'll put about 2 tablespoons of the dried comfrey in here. And if you have any big, stems, you can break them apart if you want while you're working. Now we're going to fill it about halfway with boiling water. This is freshly boiled water. I just got it off the stove. Put that back. Fill that about halfway. And I'm just trying to cover the herbs with the water. All right. Now we are going to cover it with a plate and let it steep for 15 to 20 minutes. And when this is ready to go, you can keep it in the refrigerator for 24 hours. So really every day you want to make a new batch until you start feeling better. Maybe if you have a sprained ankle, you could put this in a bigger container and rest your foot in it just to get the healing properties from the comfrey to your ankle to help with that sprain. If you have maybe broken a bone on your, maybe your leg or your arm to where it's more difficult, you wouldn't want to awkwardly try to soak yourself into a bowl of, comfrey tea. You could take a towel and you could do the same thing. You could just take the leaves of a clean towel, so have your comfrey, maybe you would just take the comfrey right on the towel. Okay, then we will put that into a bowl like this, and this is going to be like a comfrey compress and like a poultice. So you just pour the water right over the herbs, and then you would fold your towel over and let that steep again. Just like we are in the bowl, we're going to let that steep for about 15 to 20 minutes or until it's cool enough. Once it cools down, you can lift this up and squeeze a little bit of the water out so it's not dripping everywhere, but then you could sit it wherever you have a bruise or a sprain or a broken bone. And that's going to help heal. Comfrey actually helps the healing process speed up by about 2/3 of the time. So it's really amazing. It grows in the garden so prolifically. It takes off. We have it growing right now. It started growing back from last year about 3 weeks ago. Since then, it has snowed 4 times. Of course, the snow it was overnight snow and melted, but still, we had a lot of other things that kind of popped up and they died. The comfrey has some damage, but it keeps growing. It's just amazing. The other thing that you can do with this tea is once it's brewed, it's going to be hot. You need to let it cool for a while, of course. But if you don't want to make this poultice, you could also just soak your rag. It kind of gets messy, but it will work. You can just put a rag or a dish towel, however big you need it, right in like that. So the herbs do get on your towel, but you can flip it around, and then you're going to squeeze a little bit of the extra water out, and then you're going to be able to lay this right on top of the area. And with it being warm, that's going to feel really comforting to a sprained wrist or a sprained ankle. You can just at that point, just rest it right here. You know, if you smashed your finger. It's very warm, very soothing, and the cell regenerative properties of the comfrey is going to help speed up your healing process. So that's just another option you can do. If you maybe have a cast that you can't take off, you could use the salve. Once it's finished and hardened, you can just rub the salve as close to the area as you can get it, and that still is going to help. That's going to help with the healing of that bone and get that on the mend quickly. Okay, so while this is steeping, I'm going to check and see how the wax is melting for our salve, and we can get that finished up. Okay, here is the beeswax, and we really only have a few pieces left. And once I start stirring that, that's all just going to melt right in there. Just those little pieces. So we are all set, and we are ready to go ahead and pour this into our jar. And it will harden into a salve. So let's go ahead and do that. So that's it. That's how easy a salve is. So it's literally just your infused oil and beeswax, and that's all that you need for this. We're gonna go ahead and pour it into a clean glass jar. All right, and then we're going to let this sit on the countertop, and it's going to cool. Let's see, here we go. Now this is going to be so wonderful. We have some younger children, so they often will get hurt outside, falling down. If it's a minor scrape, we could rub a little bit of the salve on it to help that scrape just heal really quickly. Our youngest always has bruises, so she falls down, she'll get a bruise here and there. She can have this to put on her bruises, and it will help that to heal very quickly. We also have a daughter who gets very dry skin in the winter time, and this is going to be great for her to put just on the little dry areas that she has on her arms and her legs. And it's just so multi-purpose. It's just really a heal-all salve. I mean, you can just put it on any ailment, and it will take care of it very quickly for you. I hope this video has helped you. If you have any questions, please post in the comments below, and we will see you next time. Take care.